I'm a coach, but I also want to do more things in the professional soccer world. So for now, I'm contracted until the 2026 World Cup. There's a famous saying that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard enough. So always keep progressing, and if you want to be the best, you can do it. It just depends on you.
Welcome back to Éxito Minutes. We are so excited today. Martin, you got to introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, everybody. My name is Martin Benitez. I'm Ecuadorian. I live here in Ecuador, but I speak English as well.
Why do you speak English?
I was born here. When I was 2 years old, I went to the United States. I lived in North Carolina for almost 17 years, graduated high school there. And my family came back here to live in Ecuador, where they're from. And I came back as well right before college and did university here.
Okay, wait. So you've got the opportunity to stay in the United States, study and go to university there, or go to university here. Why choose to come here?
Yeah, so when I was 16, my dad's father, my grandpa, got sick. They came back to Ecuador to take care of him and ended up just living here. I was 16. I had a job in North Carolina, a girlfriend. I was playing soccer. I wanted to get a scholarship for soccer, so I stayed there with some aunts, uncles in the same town in North Carolina. And when I graduated, my best offer was a 50% for university, a 50% scholarship. But it was in another state. It was a private university, so there wasn't too much of a discount, let's say.
Yeah.
And I didn't know exactly what to study either. I always wanted to do something with soccer in the professional world. And here in Ecuador and in Latin America, there's a lot of opportunities for soccer, working professionally here. So I decided to just come back with my family to my roots, and I did university here, and now I'm working here. I've been here for 7 years now.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, tell us a little bit about, the journey. Okay, first of all, I get kudos. You got a scholarship. Even though it's 50%, that's still impressive. What was it for? Was it for soccer? Or was it for studies? Or
Yeah, it was for soccer.
For soccer. That's amazing. That's good for you. Congratulations. That's really cool.
Thank you, Troy.
And which also points out, like, it's a pivotal moment in your life. You're making a decision where you have a scholarship, or do I go to where there's more opportunities? Because truly, Latin America is a land of opportunities for professional football, right? And so you pivot here. What did you study here?
I studied in the Ecuadorian Football Federation. I got my coaching license. It's like a 6-semester, 3-year course, let's say. So I graduated from that. And it was right in the pandemic. I graduated January of 2021. So looking for jobs was tough. It was a hard moment for me because while I was studying, it was going great. I was working in different academies here. And so when I graduated, I didn't know what to do. There was no job opportunities. And that's where I met you, Troy. I was working at Super Maxi. It's a grocery store here in Quito. And one day Troy came to my my register, and I helped him in English. And yeah, since then we've been cool ever since.
Yeah. Well, it's been a fun journey. When he left Super Maxi, several of our neighbors were like, "What are you doing? Why did Martin leave? Did he go to work for you?" So if you one thing I got to point out here, right, is the dedication and loyalty. And if you're looking for a coach, who doesn't want Martin? I mean, the truth is, think about it. You've sacrificed a lot. You lived life with intention. You set your goals up. You relocated here, and now you've started your business, coaching, working with different academies. When you're working with different students, and I love this, when you're working with your different, I guess you'd say, in your line of business, would you say customers or?
Yeah, clients.
Your clients? Okay, your different clients that you're working with. What are some of what can we learn as an audience that's listening to this podcast from what you've learned from coaching?
What I've learned from coaching, so I have my football academy, my soccer academy. I train people or kids or professionals, personalized sessions or group sessions. So in these past almost 3 years, I've been, thanks to God, growing the company. And I'm very busy. I have a lot of sessions, but the main thing is that talent is not enough. I have a lot of For example, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds that are really good. They're on a very good level and are better than some other 12 or 13-year-olds. But to teach them that if they don't work hard to their talents, then others who might not have the talent that they have can maybe at 17, 18 years old can
Surpass them.
surpass them, and the other guys who weren't talented before can kind of stay in that level and not get as many opportunities as the others. So there's a famous saying that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard enough.
I love that.
So I try to always teach my kids, the younger generation, about that, because if you give your 100% for years, you can make it. You can make it for real. And there's a lot of kids with that dream of maybe getting a scholarship, playing in university here in Ecuador or in another country, or get to go to the United States, for example, or even do a step above and play professionally. And yeah, that's the main thing I try to teach. Just hard work.
Hard work. I got that could be the rest of the podcast. There's so many things to branch off of that. Do you have an example? Like maybe any example you can give? Maybe in the professional world?
Yeah. So for my soccer lovers here in Ecuador or internationally, these players are very international. There's a player, Moises Caicedo, who right now is the most expensive player that England has ever seen. And he's an Ecuadorian player. So it's huge for Ecuador. He costed $146 million.
Kudos for him.
Yeah.
Good work.
It's
Niño
awesome.
Moy.
Niño Moy. And when he was 16, 17, not many people knew about him here in Ecuador. Now he's 22 years old and he's the best Ecuadorian player in the world right now, one of the best players in the world right now. And then you have another version where there's a player named Gonzalo Plata. When Ecuador U20 team came in third in the World Cup in 2019. It's like the best achievement for Ecuador, honestly, in soccer. And this player, Gonzalo Plata, was the star player of this team. Now he's 23 years old and he's fell off. He's fell off maybe because of that saying talent isn't enough and he's not working as hard. Right now, he was destined to play in England and Spain on the top teams, and he's playing in Qatar. There's a lot of criticism about he's picking money over football. So then you just have these two scenarios, two situations, like who wants it more? And in a little bit of time, you already have a big difference in the two players.
Yeah. I think kudos to both of them, right? Very, very successful. That's hard work and grinding hard work. But I love that concept that you're teaching. And I want everybody here to approach this as if you're in your own professional world, right? So if you're at work and you're looking at somebody that says, oh my gosh, that person is incredible at this talent, I'm never going to be that good. That's an intrusive thought. That's not true. I mean, it's proven in sports. It's proven in multiple different professions that if you focus and grind and you're the last player at night, you're working. I love the visual. Every once in a while, you'll see it on videos too, right? Where you see the kid that's he's got the tape on the side of his house for the goalie and he's kicking the ball, and then somebody opens a window and it's like, it's 10 at night. Stop. And it's that kid that woke up at 6 a.m. He's kicking the ball against, trying to do the goals over and over and over, right? It's that thought process of you can achieve, and even, I love this in sports, surpass somebody that is born with better talents, that's actually better than you, maybe in whether it's football or if it's in any sort of skill and profession, right? You can surpass them, right? Or at least come up to their level. And also, it's a good lesson for us that if we're naturally talented with something, it can go away. People will surpass you if you don't focus in on that talent.
Yeah, unfortunately, here in Ecuador, there's a lot of, in football and soccer, wasted talents, we could say, that are kids, teenagers who are destined to play in England, to be on the top teams in Europe, and they just don't quite make it there because of external factors. Maybe they're not 100% in practicing, they're not sleeping good, they're not eating good,
showing up late to practice, going home early, skipping practices,
disciplinary issues. So there's a lot of extras in football. It's not just your talent, it's what comes with it.
Love that.
What I'm thinking right now is like we're talking about sports and the best practices of all. Just by the way, just to mention, we're gonna leave the information of your academy, of Martin's Academy. So if you have children there and you have amazing people, because now it's a perfect time where we can start growing this love for sports and stuff, and it's also a good way to keep our mind and our body busy instead of being just at home doing nothing. But thinking about this, thinking about business and the time that, how would you make a comparison between sports and business and professional stuff? Because we've been talking this before we started the podcast, and Martin came up with this amazing idea about warming up. So
Yeah, for example, in a soccer practice or a soccer game, it's not like you just show up and you sub in and you're playing. You got to come maybe an hour early. You got to warm up.
how is that process? Why an hour earlier? Because like I'm just thinking about 15 minutes of warming up, but an hour later to do what? What do they do?
For games, an hour early. For practice, it could be 10, 15 minutes. But you got to warm up. You got to move your legs, your ankles, your upper body, do some neck exercises. Get your body ready to do the sport that you love. If you go in without any type of warm up, you can get injured. You won't play the same during the practice or the game. And we were talking with Alex right before this. It's the same thing in the workforce. Let's say you have a big day ahead of you at work. It's not like you're just going to come in and, okay, this is my time to start. You got to maybe listen to a podcast, go over to what you want to say, look at some notes. It's like a warm up as well.
I love that. And you absolutely notice the difference in every meeting I've ever been to. For the ones that actually show up, they've prepared, they've mentally gone through their notes, they've actually practiced whatever they're going to say, and they come prepared by thinking, maybe in the meeting they might ask this, I'm going to prepare for an answer for this. It's like the warm-up, right? They're not going to get injured. And then you could also see the ones that barely make it on time to the meeting, and they come in, they're a little flustered, they're trying to turn on their computer, they're trying to find their notes, they didn't even get them beforehand, and the success at the end of the meeting, everybody's looking at me and like, I want that person on my team, and I do not want the rest, right? And that's hard to do, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then as an outsider, someone who's looking at those players or the workers, you notice who wants it more, who's more prepared, who's more ready than the other to have that work meeting or play that soccer game. And that's in every department, I think.
I think it's the same with studies. Right? It's the same thing walking into a university, or if you're taking a course, you can tell those that go home, study, and come back. My wife does some volunteering teaching of English, right? And donates her time, right? And so she, in her class, people show up doing the homework and they just excel, right? It's the same exact thing. They're practicing throughout the week. They're putting time and dedication. There's this thought here that it keeps coming back to me is, how do people identify mediocrity in themselves, and how do they overcome that mediocrity? So when you have players and you're coaching, as a coach, how would you coach us in the podcast? If you see some untapped talent, right? You see some players that are mediocre. What do you do so that you can get them mentally and then physically to that next level?
Yeah. So first, I talk to them. If they're kids, I say, "What's your goal with soccer? What do you want to do?" So a lot at a younger age, they think of the players they see on their TV and say, "Oh, I want to play on TV. I want to be a professional." Some would say, "I want to play in the university, play for my high school team, be a star in my high school," and everything's possible. So at a young age, you got to let them know that there's other kids who maybe don't have the nicest cleats, or they don't even have shoes, and they're out there playing on dirt with the soccer ball. And those are players who actually want it more or want it a lot. So you're competing with other players like that. It's not just practicing, it's sleeping good, getting your 8 hours, eating good. You can have your cheats, like fried stuff, some candy, but to know a limit. And really watching soccer is also a good thing, because there's a lot of players who don't watch. And for me, in my example, I love to watch soccer when I was still now, but when I was growing up too, and that helps you maybe pick out a position that you play and say, okay, what does this guy do? This guy's a professional. I want to see what happens when he's in these difficult scenarios in the soccer pitch. So it's you got to go 100%, I think, and everything's possible. It's just down to that person. I can help you, but I can't say, okay, you're going to be a professional. It's down to the player, and I think that's the same thing in every other department: studies, work. It just comes down to you, your drive, and what you want to achieve.
I love Alex. He starts off, we say, how do you overcome mediocrity? And he starts off with the why.
Yeah.
Right? He goes to the players and says, why are you doing soccer? Right? To like reconnect. And how many times have we talked about the importance of the why?
And think about this. Think about Cristiano Ronaldo, let's say. He was grown as a poor person. He was very poor, and he did the best to be who is right now. But so how would you recommend for those who are trying to do, because this applies for business, sports, and life itself, how could you connect with your passion and to be the best that you want to be? It's like you said something that just impacted me so much. It's like, how much do you want it? It's like there's those who really want it, and there's others that just want a lot of it. It's like there are levels. It's like not all of us wants the same thing with the same passion, with the same amount, with the same energy. So what would you recommend for those who are like, yeah, I want to be a professional player. I want to be the best at business. I want to be the best at everything. How would you connect with that passion and be the best out of it? Because we know that you need to keep your diet, your sleeping hours, and all that stuff, that it's important. But if you don't find your why and your passion, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, for sure. For example, Cristiano Ronaldo, very poor. I was reading stories. He would, after practice, go to his local McDonald's, and the food that were trash, they were gonna throw out. He would make friends with the employees, and they'd give him like free food. His dad was an alcoholic. He only lived with his mom, and now he's one of the oldest players in the world. He's about to turn 40 years old, and he's still playing at the highest level. Mm-hmm. And that's just pure training, keeping his body right. There's a lot of players who will retire at 31, 32, and to see him doing that now, it's insane. But it's okay if you don't want to reach the top, if you don't want to be a professional. But the players who do, you have to let them know, okay, like this is what it takes. You can have this dream, it's fine, but this is what it takes, and this is what you have to work for to get there. And yeah, that's the same thing for like a manager. Like if you have to do some extra work, you got to do it to be the best.
Let me think. Let me know if I get it right. So the connection might be, one of the connections is the price that you're willing to pay to make your dreams come true. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
So for
drawing them a picture of what it takes.
Yeah.
Right. It takes, I love Malcolm Gladwell's concept of 10,000 hours, although there's been a lot of talk about it that maybe it doesn't take that many hours, but still it comes back to it's that practice. It's the person that's putting in 10 extra hours a week over another player, but it compounds like atomic habits, and then all of a sudden that's 40 hours a month. That's 480 hours a year. And now you compound that by 10 years from the age of 14 to 24, right? And all of a sudden you're at 40 plus thousand hours that you've done more, or right off the bat, I guess that would be 4,800 hours. Sorry about that. But that'd be 4,800 hours more. And so it adds up, right?
Yeah, for sure. For my basketball fans, I'm a basketball fan as well. Kobe Bryant, I was watching a podcast of him, and he was saying when he was 14, he was going to his freshman year of high school, and all he wanted to do was become a professional basketball player. He would wake up at 4 a.m. during the summer. During the school year, he'd wake up at 4 a.m., do a training for an hour and a half, have breakfast, go to school. In gym, he would practice, get home from school, practice. And in one day, he's doing 6 hours of training.
Wow.
So, and he was saying when it's summer and everyone's going to these academies or camps to get better, it doesn't matter what they do because he already has times 5 of the hours that they're about to do. So it's like you said, Troy, it's the 10,000 hours, or it's just the plenty of hours that you do. It definitely helps. And it's that next level that you're going to reach if you work on your talent.
I think of somebody that might be professionally, Alex, going back and just tying these in. If you were to say, okay, let's compare two different people, right? The difference is the person that comes home at night and is super tired and from 7 till 8:30 or 9, they're on Netflix, right? And then the person that says just from 7 to 8, I still want my time with my kids and I want my time with my wife, or if you're single, I want my own time on Netflix or whatever, or I want to go out and be with my friends. But 6 to 8, 6:30 to 7:30, whatever that time frame is, I'm going to only study how AI can improve me as a person in the role that I'm in at work, or I'm going to improve my Excel skills, or I'm going to improve my design skills, my marketing skills. It's the same concept. It's that Kobe Bryant, like waking up in the morning, at 4 in the morning and just saying, I am going to learn this and I'm going to be the best I can be. And like you said, by the time it comes to summer camps, doesn't even matter. He's already, if he goes to summer camps and does that, now he's even further ahead of everybody. I love the concept. There's a book called Spark, and it's a really great book. And it basically talks about the impact of physical fitness in middle schools and high schools and how it impacts learning acquisition and retention. And in that book, there's a section in there that is specific to talking about sports itself and the impact of that cardio, of how it helps you improve your life, physical fitness, mental ability, agility, everything. And so innately, the concept comes back to saying is, what can you do in your life that's going to improve and magnify your improvement? Not just your hours of your hour and a half doing X. What can do it so you can get ahead overall when you cumulatively take those daily wins, right? And spread it across your entire year. Anyway, I love that concept. What are some thoughts that you have, Alex, on this?
I'm thinking about this. I don't know if you have heard about Theodore Roosevelt. Probably you heard about him. When he was a little kid, his dad told him, "You are so skinny, you get sick every time, but you have a great potential, but you need to know that your body has to be as strong as your mind is." So he started to do some exercises, and we know who he was. I'm calling this because it is important to understand the principle of doing exercises, practicing any kind of sports, but you can put it the same concept into the professional world. It's like, imagine this. I woke up 4 in the morning to study this concept, to master my skills on sales or whatever it takes. So when it comes the time that I go to the field and show my skills, I'll be the best no matter what. So it is important to understand this. And I love this concept of having your body strong enough so your mind can also be part of it. So it's amazing, Martin. I really love this. This podcast probably should be more than an hour because we are like talking about some great stuff. So I really love this one. It has been amazing.
Yeah, healthy mind, healthy body, healthy life is what I always think. You gotta not just work on your talent, but also your mind, and try to have that good mentality to always keep progressing. And if you want to be the best, you can do it. It just depends on you.
So before we finish our podcast, first of all, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time out, but we've got to hear about your podcast. So tell us a little bit about why you're doing a podcast and what can we expect to hear from it?
Yeah, for sure. So my academy is called Ecuador Heroes, Ecuador Héroes. I'm a coach, but I also want to do more things in the professional soccer world. So 2-3 years ago, I started a Twitter account just talking about Ecuadorian football in English, everything in English. Because when I was a kid, looking in social media, yeah, we could find stuff of Ecuadorian soccer, but I never saw one in English, like one page talking about in English. So I said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a page. Right now it has 5,000 followers.
Yes.
But still, I wanted to do more. And I created a podcast about a year and a half ago, interviewing professionals or people working in professional soccer here in Ecuador. I just had one of my favorites last week. I interviewed George Celico. he was the coach of that U20 Ecuador national team.
Awesome.
Team that came in third in the World Cup. He's an Argentine. He's been here in Ecuador for more than 10 years. Great person. And yeah, as the time passed, I want to start getting more players, more coaches, people working here in FIFA and Ecuador national team. And yeah, so I'm doing podcasts in there. And thankfully for all the things that I'm doing, I got a job doing statistical management for the Ecuador national team every time they play here. And for now, I'm contracted until the 2026 World Cup.
Whoa, congratulations. Those are three just really impressive highlights, right, from your life. And I know there's many more. So thanks for sharing those. For all of you that are out there listening, please listen to the podcast. Jump on Twitter. What is your handle on Twitter? What do they look for?
It's at Ecuador Heroes, and I'm on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
Awesome.
All of that stuff.
Join that. I definitely will be signing up for that. Definitely. So thanks for sharing all your tips, your pro tips. We absolutely just loved it. We loved hearing about your story and your history. So thanks for joining us, and we hope you go over and listen to his podcast. Have a great day.
Bye.